Welcome to The Ladder, a weekly dose of personal development ideas to help spark your imagination, increase your leadership skills, and bring more success into your life. And now, here's your host, James Theris.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Ladder. I'm your host, James Theris, and this podcast is all about learning to grow and improve and ascend that ladder, the ladder of success we're talking about here. And today's topic is basically coming out of your comfort zone and having the confidence in yourself to try things that scare you just a little bit. In fact, if you could do something each day that scares you just a little bit, it's my opinion that you'll grow faster than any other way in life. Now, when we do things that scare us, that insinuates that there's a possibility that things could go awry. Things could go differently than we hope that they go. But that's part of the learning process, and that's part of learning to deal with challenges and failures and setbacks, because not everything is going to be a victory. But if we look at the whatever it is we're doing as an opportunity to be a stepping stone for us, then I still say that it is a victory, even if you know, in the small scheme of things it's a failure or a challenge or a setback. I think in the overall scheme of things we look at that as a stepping stone. And so I have a huge stepping stone that was presented to me about 2 weeks ago. Prior to that I had no knowledge of this, no thought about it or anything. And so I'll kind of build for you what happened and how we got to this place, so that you can appreciate what it is that I'm going to be doing. So at my martial arts school, we do lots of little fun contests to inspire the students, and then of course we try to get the parents involved as well. We'd like to have everybody in our school have a wonderful experience in our program and feel part of our family, like they're doing things together with the kids versus bringing them and dropping them off and then picking them up, like in so many other activities that kids are involved in. So our program is very family oriented, and we love to have families training together, but if they're not able to train together, at least participating together in some way, shape, or form. So one of these contests that we were doing, and we're still doing it, but we were doing it kind of hot and heavy a couple of weeks ago, was called our 1 minute horse stance challenge. And that's where you basically, looks like you're sitting on a horse, you spread your feet double shoulder width apart, you point your toes straight forward, and then you sit down by bending your knees and pushing those knees out over your feet so that it gives the appearance you'd be riding on a horse, which is where the term comes from. So it's kind of like it gives it from the frontal appearance, it would look like you're sitting on an imaginary bench with your back up against the wall. It is a very challenging position to stay in. Once you get into it, it's very challenging to hold it for any length of time, and to hold it for 1 minute is pretty impressive in the beginning. Now, as you get stronger, you can of course hold it for longer than that, but we started by having one of our students request if they could try this challenge and earn an extra credit stripe on their belt for doing so. And I thought to myself, absolutely, that's a great idea, so let's do this. And it was one of our young ladies, her name was Kylie, and she held the horse stance perfectly for 1 minute, and then once she did it, another student wanted to do it, and then another student wanted to do it, and then another student wanted to do it, and then it morphed into being 2 or 3 students, groups of 2 or 3 students, and then one evening we got an entire class to do it. The next night we got the entire class and their parents and grandparents to do it, and before long we had people in different cities and states and even countries posting pictures and videos of their horse stances into our private Facebook group. So when this started to take off, I got very inspired. And late one evening, as I was looking at some of these things and seeing all of the participation and camaraderie that was developing around this particular little fun contest we were running, I got inspired to say that once we finished this challenge, and once we hit our goal of our active count of students being 100, that I was going to reveal one of my rap songs that I created back in the late 80s. See, back in the late 80s, I was an aspiring rap artist and was going to be, in my mind, I was going to be the Eminem. I was going to be Vanilla Ice. And then, lo and behold, about 2 years after into my rapping career, Vanilla Ice emerged on the scene and kind of took that from me. So I realized pretty quick, though, that I put about 20 songs together, and I had one that was going to, it really was my swan song, I guess, of the rap world, and I was going to become a rap artist, at least on a local level, and I was very, very close to it, to getting myself at least a local record deal that possibly could have turned into a national record deal. And things didn't work out, and so I didn't do that. But I had a lot of songs that I had prepared and written and recorded, and I was looking through them and thinking, okay, after this contest is done, and once we achieve our goal of 100 students, I'm going to post this one. I'm going to post one of those songs. I'm going to choose one of them and I'll let my students hear it, but only if we achieve our goal together. And it was kind of icing on the cake. So one of the parents started playing back with me and saying, "You could do this, you could do that. We can call you this," and they have a connection, and they're a concert promoter, and so there's a Snoop Dogg concert that's coming up here in May on Cinco de Mayo. And she was jokingly, at least I thought she was jokingly, saying, hey, you could open up for Snoop Dogg. And I was, of course, saying, oh, that'd be great. Yeah, Snoop Master T here. And within about an hour or so of the conversation, everybody was chiming in on it. I started to, laugh and joke my way out of it, and because I thought it was a gag. And it turned out that it wasn't a gag, and that she was actually being honest and being 100% genuine about it, and gave me the opportunity to open as a rapper for Snoop Doggy Dogg. And as I started backing out, she said, "You're not talking yourself out of it, are you?" And that's when I discovered that she wasn't kidding. She was really being serious. And so, to make a longer story shorter, I am now on the hook to open as an opening act, rap act, for Snoop Dogg here in Tampa, Florida on Cinco de Mayo, May 5th, at an event called Halftime. And it's got Snoop Dogg and another rapper named T.I. And I am going to be standing on stage rapping a rap that I wrote 30 years ago in front of 16 to 20,000 people, which will be the largest stage that I've ever presented from. And why am I doing this? Well, as I started thinking about, backing out of it, because I kind of put my foot in my mouth on this one, I started thinking, I teach my students about confidence and overcoming their fears and doubts and coming out of their comfort zone. This is a very uncomfortable thing for me, so maybe I could use this to prove to these guys that I'm not just a person who talks about it, that I will walk my talk, and therefore, that's exactly what's going to happen. And so I am now practicing again. I am preparing. I'm working with a producer to help me get some clean music, because most of the music that I had I didn't retain much of the instrumentals that I had, and many of them were transferred from reel to reel down to CDs, and then or to cassettes, and then to a CD. So it's gotten the quality of it is not as clean as it should have been, or as it was at one point. So we're working with some sound engineers to either clean up one of the tracks that I have, or to recreate one of the tracks that I have, so we have a good clean soundtrack for me to rap my song over. And the song is called "The Danger Zone." It was the very first rap song that I had written, and it was a response to an incident that had happened to me back in 1988, where I was working with a producer, helping him produce some rap music and also some local R&B groups. And one day, out of the blue, he told me, "You can't come over to my house anymore. We can't work together anymore." And I could not understand why this was. And I thought he was just really being cold to me, and he had no explanation. And so I on the way to work one morning, in my car, I hate to admit this, but on my way to work one morning, I actually got inspired to write this rhyme, and I wrote it at every stoplight. I would think about another few words to it, and I wrote it all the way, and I hate to admit this, but I also wrote some of it while I was driving. Please don't do that. I was, whatever it was, 19 years old at the time, and didn't know any better. I probably did know better, but didn't think that it was going to be a big deal, and luckily nothing happened out of that. But nonetheless, I wrote this song in probably 35 to 40 minutes time, the lyrics of it anyway, on my way to work. And then I started to create the music around it and come up with some ideas of forming it into an actual song. And I recorded the song as a response to this producer friend of mine that told me I could no longer come over. Well, it turned out after I'd written the song, and I actually mailed him a copy of it, I wanted to make sure he heard this song, that the reason that I couldn't come over anymore had nothing to do with me. It had to do with another friend of mine we were very tight together. and this other friend had done some things that he didn't like, and he knew that it was going to be, difficult for him to just tell that guy he couldn't come over, but allow me to still come over. So nonetheless, I was not allowed over there for a while, and then when we finally connected back there, everything was great, and I was actually offered the opportunity to work with a guy named Teddy Riley. So if anybody's listened to this that knows who that is, he was a very big producer in the 90s and worked with people like Guy and Rex and Effect and Babyface and groups like that. And I had this opportunity to work with him, and I passed on it. And looking back on it, I'm regretful that I didn't take that opportunity. So fast forward 30 years, I have this opportunity thrust into my lap to revive this very first rap song that I created back in 1988 and get on stage in front of 16 to 20,000 people and actually rap this song, and in front of my students as well. So that's where we're at, and that's what I'm going to do, and that's the message. That's the whole message of this podcast. Am I scared? Am I nervous? Absolutely. Now, the closer I get to it, the more my nerves are going to kick in. It's been a very long time since I've done any rapping, especially in front of a group. And it's something that I really worked hard at burying in my past. And many of my students, until I mentioned this, especially my students in Indianapolis, had no idea that I had a former life as a rap star, a rap artist. I actually started as a disc jockey, but I also moved from the disc jockey phase into the rapping phase. And then I went back to being a disc jockey, because I kind of prefer to be behind the scenes and creating the music, and I'm much more interested in that than I am being out in front and rapping. So therefore, that's exactly why I'm going to do that. This is the message. So maybe you've got something that's given to you as an opportunity. Maybe you're going to have something in the next 7 to 14 days or 30 days, or maybe the next year or two that's going to come to you, possibly served on a silver platter. And if that happens, my message to you is take it. Do it. Do it for yourself, but do it for other people. Do it to inspire other people around you, to show that it's never too late to do something that can elevate you, right? And so I have no delusions here about my performance here, and I'm probably more than likely going to get booed off the stage. I'm a almost 50-year-old white guy that's as clean cut and straight laced as you can get, that I'm going to be going up there in front of thousands of rap fans that are expecting to hear some really good rap, and I don't consider mine to be that great, to be honest with you. So I am going to go out there and give it my all, give it my best, and show my students that, hey, I can stand up here and take the heat. And if I get applause, fantastic. That's of course what I'm hoping for. But if I get booed, that's okay too, because I'm going to be one person that out of that group, there's going to be a lot of people watching that would like to be up on that stage that don't have the courage in themselves to or think that they're good enough to actually step up on that stage. And so I don't think you have to be that good at some things. You just have to have the right attitude, right? There's an old saying that your success is determined by your altitude is determined by your attitude, right? Success is determined by your attitude more than your aptitude. So if you have good aptitude, meaning your skill set, and you have the right attitude, meaning you have confidence in yourself, and you're not afraid to try, even if you're going to have the possibility of failing, well, that's how you're going to make that leap and climb up the ladder of success to the next rung or the next level of that. And that's what I'm trying to do here, and I'm doing this. The most important reason I'm doing this is to show my students that I actually do the things that I am teaching them to do. And if you follow this advice of mine, maybe you too could ascend the ladder. Stop and think about it for a second. The very worst that could happen out of this, I get booed off the stage, and people remember this goofy karate instructor who stepped up on stage and tried to rap in front of all these people. And it'll be something that maybe 10 years from now or 20 years from now, people can say, oh, you're that guy that did that? Oh my goodness, I remember when that happened. I saw you on that stage, or I heard about it from a friend of mine, and man, that's what was that like? And so there's going to be lots of stories to be able to be told from this experience. And so I'm excited about that. I'm more excited to hurry up and get this thing over with, though, because it's not something that, as I was saying a moment ago, I have no delusions of becoming, getting discovered and going into the music business all of a sudden. This is going to be a one-shot and done deal. And hopefully I make some new friends out of it, and hopefully I get off the stage without having to make too many mistakes. So the other opportunity I'm going to have is going to be able to promote our business. So this is a wonderful opportunity to get our name out there and recognized, and maybe to a different crowd that might not otherwise find us or see us. And maybe our program or anything that we offer isn't going to be for them, but they might remember us when they do know somebody or run into somebody who they think it might benefit. And so it's an opportunity for marketing as well. So that's the message today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I can't believe that I'm going to be doing this. If you are listening to this and you'd like to come see it live, I'd love to have you out here. That's going to be Cinco de Mayo here in Tampa, Florida, at the Raymond James Stadium. And it's called a Halftime Report or Halftime Music Festival. That's what it's called, the Halftime Music Festival with Snoop Doggy Dogg and T.I. And of course yours truly. They are now calling me Snoop Master T. My rap name was Doc T, Dr. T, so I'll be using that name as in my rap, and it'll be all through my song. So of course you're going to hear that, and I might, if I can get a good clean copy of that performance, I might actually upload that the Monday following the Cinco de Mayo show. So wish me luck, and I'd like to wish you luck in pursuing your dreams and your endeavors, and don't let fear keep you from trying things that take you out of your comfort zone. Until next week, this is James Theris saying, make it happen.